In this lesson, you're going to build and apply a graph called an ogive. The more technical name is a relative cumulative frequency plot. So before you do anything else, you need to enter these data for fast plasma glucose. You need to enter these data into list 1. So I would also offer you need to run the one variable statistics command. So the idea is if you get a sum of 2939, that's going to tell you that you've entered the data correctly into list 1. And this is the window that you want to set up. That's what I've already done on my calculator. If you have not entered the data or run the one variable statistics command on list 1 to verify that your sum is 2939, you need to do that first. So you could pause this video and do that now. Then again, before continuing, you need to make sure you've set this window. If you have not done that already, you want to pause the video, set this window, and then proceed. So here's what I've done. I have my data entered into list 1. So if I run the one variable statistics command on list 1, I can verify that the sum of my data really is 2939. So that suggests to me that I've likely entered all of the data correctly into my list. I have set the window as per our handout. Then you also want to graph a histogram. So in order to get an idea of what these data look like, again to review, press second y equals. We want to go into plot 1 and set up the histogram option. So you need to make sure it's turned on. You need to select the histogram option. Make sure that your plot is set to use the data from list 1. If you get an error when you try to graph this, my suggestion is that you press second y equals and you see if any of your other plots are on. If plot number 2 is on, you should turn it off. If plot number 3 is on, you should go in and turn those off. When you press graph, here's the histogram that you should get. So in this shape should tell you a little bit. I want you to be able to interpret this shape for these glucose levels. So I assume that you know that this graph is skewed. I assume that you can figure out the direction of that skewness. That's what you're entering here. So, and literally I'm asking you to interpret what that skewness means. So when you look at the histogram, the data are clustered on the left, but then they trail off to the right. That gives you an idea of the type of skewness that we're looking at here. But the reason to build the histogram is not just to check the shape of the data. The reason to build the histogram now is we need to use that histogram in order to calculate the data that we need in order to build our ogive. So with your histogram, you need to press the trace button and you need to complete this third column. So let me show you exactly what I mean by that. If you press the trace button, notice right now that I am tracing in the first class. That class has a minimum glucose level of 50, but it's below 75, and there are no observations in that class. Fine, so that means a glucose level of 50 but less than 75 in that first bar of the histogram, there aren't any observations there. So that's why there's a 0. So literally all you're doing here is filling in the frequencies. So if you, again with the trace button pressed, if you press the right arrow, you can trace the next class. There are 3 individuals with a glucose level of at least 75 but less than 100. Well, there you go. There's the 3. So the next bar of the histogram should give us a frequency of 2. It does. So again, you need to keep filling these in. For instance, the next bar of the histogram between 125 but less than 150, that's a total of 5 observations. That's the next value. So we verified the 2. A minimum of 125 but less than 150, that's 5. So on this front page, your job is to finish using your histogram, this column, and then you'll be ready to turn the page. Don't try to complete these yet. Don't try to complete these yet until you read the directions at the top of the next page in step 8.